I have a new layout for you today, and I'm going to be using my February Scriptastic kit, Counting Stars. And I just have the main kit here, and so right now I'm deciding if I want to use the cardstock as a background or one of these papers. And there's not a ton of papers right now anymore because now we don't have all the cardstock. Not that I used all the cardstock before, so I guess it doesn't really matter. So at this point, I'm trying to figure out what do I want to do. Because that was, I think, one of the things about this kit that had me maybe perplexed or stumped, is that I really couldn't see what I was going to do with it when I seen it. Like sometimes when you get a kit or you get a paper, you know exactly right away what you want to do with it. And you have all these ideas, and this kit just, I didn't feel like right away it hit me what I wanted to do. So I was looking at it, and then I seen these acrylic shapes, and I thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun if I took these and used them as a stencil and then used my paints, because I just bought a whole bunch of acrylic paint, and I thought, hey, I could do that. I could paint some triangles and have it be a little geometric and kind of fun, and so that's where I'm thinking I'm going to go with it right now. I mean, in the end, if I don't like it, I can always put something else on top of it, cut this paper up so you don't see all of it. I mean, really, in the end, if it didn't work out, I could figure something else to do with this paper. So I just scatter those in a couple of places around the photo, and I'm also going to mark where my photo is so that I can see where it's going to be in the end. And so here I'm going to make up a color. Try to make a color. So I had to look online because I had no idea how do you make a homemade color for mint. Like, what colors do you use? I mean, obviously it's green, but, what colors do you mix together? And this is one thing that I think is fun when you have paints and stuff, is that, as long as you have your primary colors, you can make a lot of other colors. So I'm kind of fiddling around with it, and it ends up being a little bit more tealy than just straight up like a light mint, which I was wanting it to be a little lighter, and in the end, it's okay. I'm not like mad, or, I wasn't like disappointed that it wasn't exactly the color that I wanted, but I mean, I played around with it, and I think that's the thing sometimes with when you do or use mixed media elements, is that especially at the beginning of when you start using it, it's a lot of just playing around and figuring out what you like to do with this product. I mean, there's tons of videos that you can watch with people using, paints or gelatos or, this or that. And really, in the end, the way one person does it doesn't mean that that's how you have to use it, And you just got to find what you like and how you feel comfortable using it. And maybe you won't like it after you use it. So here I am filling in the triangles. And at first I was thinking that maybe I would just leave a couple of them open, which is why the bottom one is still open. And at this point, I think, it's still a little dark, so I added a little bit more white to it, because that is one of the colors. You need to use green, a little bit of blue, and some white. So pretty much like equal green to white, and then a little bit of blue. So that's what I used. I actually like this color with that corally pink color. It is it's really fun to use those colors together. And of course right now they're really popular, so it's pretty easy to use them together. And I'm also going to just put some paint around where the corners of the photo is going to be, just two. I figured that this paint could just like peek out from the layers that I'm going to put, because at this point all I really know is that I want to do some layering and just use pretty much the paper that has like the peach peachy, corally pink colors and, as my layers. So that's kind of where my head is thinking as I am painting this. And I was really glad that the paint was just thick enough that it covered up my pencil lines, so I didn't have to see pencil lines. That's the only thing about using gesso. And one thing I didn't say that I don't want to forget to say is that I used a clear gesso on this. That was one thing that I also bought, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. So maybe after another couple of layouts of using it, I'll be able to give you guys a better review of it. But I find that this brand, I have the Liquitex brand because that's the one that I can buy locally. It's really, really gritty, which obviously you want it to be because it's going to give your page that tooth, and that's what you want your paint to grab onto. But it's just so much. It's not as smooth as like regular gesso, so I'm not sure. So I thought, hey, I'm going to try to paint on these Mistables, because there's a resist on it, and so I was thinking, hey, maybe it'll work. And so I did that arrow, chevron-y arrow first, and I rubbed it off not too long after I did it, and it came right off the resist, but stayed on, the other part. And so I was like, oh, good, it's gonna work. And then you notice I did the tab, that circle, and that small flower, and I just left them. And so here's where I learned what my mistake is, because I go to rub it off on this love, and it's really, really hard. And then I try to do this one, and I get a little bit of the words off. Like, you can see part of pretty, because it says something about being pretty, I don't know, something like that. And it's not coming off. And then I try the big flower that I just did not too long ago, and it comes right off. And that big flower looks awesome. I love the way that it looks with the thicker paint. But I was really disappointed because it didn't work. But I figured that I can still use this because I still like the color. And that's really what I was thinking, is that I can use these to tuck in my layers and just kind of have fun with it. And it'll give more of that pop of, mint or teal-y color that I was using. And so I'm also going to take the rest of this paint because I don't want to waste it. And I had already thought that I would use my stencil that came with the kit. I really like that stencil. It's a really good quality because it's nice and thick. So you get a really good crisp image when you use it with like modeling paste. I've already used it a couple of times. That was the only thing I used for my kit. So I just put those two aside and try to move some stuff, and I'm going to put this right over top of my overlay. And I can't take credit for thinking of this idea myself because I seen her do it, and I was like, hey, I haven't tried that. I should try it. And she was like, yeah, you totally should. So I love the way that looks, especially because of the color combo with the black and that color. So I'm going to use just this plain gelato, and I'm not using any water, and I'm just rubbing it with my finger. And thankfully, because of the material that it is, it's more like a watercolor paper. It smoothed around a lot easier, and that was the one thing that I thought of once I put it down. And if you notice right here, I made my transparency bubble. I really shouldn't have used that heat gun. Lesson learned. So I learned two things today while I was doing this layout. Don't put paint on these Mistables and try to rub it away if you leave it sitting too long. And don't use your heat gun on transparency. Just let it air dry. So you could see just one of the corners of where I painted or didn't paint. And of course, I tried to see if it would come off, but I figured it wasn't going to. So I cut the branding strip off. I'm trying to see if this is all the way, if I heated it enough. I mean, I wasn't going to heat it anymore because it warped. And at first I was like, man, that stinks. But in the end, it really ended up giving a lot of texture and dimension underneath in my layer. So I'm okay with it. But I would have rather it not have warped, because it would have looked better. So here I'm just placing my photo, kind of looking at it, and I figure that it's going to look better by trimming this down, just because there was a lot of like empty blah space. Like there was nothing going on in the picture, and it really didn't add anything, and I think it took it away because it was so dark, especially with my daughter's cute outfit. So, and those cute pigtails. It's so fun when you go back and you look at old pictures. This is an old picture of my daughter, Leilani, and she's 6 now. And so this is when she is a little bit over 1, because this is in the winter. So like right after or right before Christmas, and because I bought that outfit around Christmas time, and she just looks so cute. It was like that like almost velvety like material. I mean, and we're in New York, so it got cold, so she just looks so cute. So I'm just cutting these, and I'm trying to cut them all around the same space, or like around the same size, just a little bit of a variance of it, of different sizes, because I know that, I just want bits and pieces, and at some point, I decided that I was going to add the Amy Tan paper with the gray and that black, because I really like those colors with the pink. It really gives a lot of depth, and I don't know. It just it works really well with that tealy minty green that I tried to make. And this one, I cut it like that, and then I was like, wait, I don't like how thick it is, so I'm going to cut it down just a little bit more. And that's Studio Tecturic, I think is how you say it, and they have such fun. This is such fun paper. I love the color of it. It's just really fun. The other side has stars that are like 3-dimensional or something. It's really cool. I don't know if you noticed, but I dropped my pad thing on my photo. Thankfully, this wasn't a perfect photo. It's an older one, and it's one of the photos that I don't have another copy of, I don't think, or if I do, it's somewhere amongst like one of our older computers, and it's like, it's one of those things that I hadn't thought about, when we first started having kids, of, oh yeah, I need to have all my photos in one place. So I also used my Tim Holtz die to make that tag out of one of the papers. And actually that paper is Pebbles. It's a Jen Hatfield homemade collection. And so just the colors all worked really, really well together. I will give that, say that they did a really good job making the colors like really match in this. So here I'm putting this in, and I cut that branding strip because I had this space in between the tag and the transparency, and I didn't like that you could see that gap. And so I want to put this in here, and in the end I stuck it behind, but I actually wish that I had stuck it in front of the tag, but I didn't want to cover up the tag because I like that you can tell that it's a tag, not just that, there's a hole showing. And so here it's a little wonky, and it was a little wonky, so I needed to fix it. And I'm cutting some dimension tape because it's already got a lot of space in between, and so I want to help leave some of that space, but keep some of the layers together just a smidge bit better, because I didn't use a ton of ATG glue when I was putting this together, because I knew that I wanted to add stuff into the layers, right? But I really like to see that space. I like it when, you're looking at a layout and you can see all the space in between layers. It's just really fun to add that, have those shadows and that dimension that you get. So here I'm just fooling around with that circle. That I cut it in half because you couldn't see it anyway, so I figured you didn't really even need to see much of it. And then I'm going to use that tag, so it's like a tab. And so here's the reinforcer for that one tag, and I just use the Amy Tan paper. So it's that gray, so it's really going to complement the colors really, really well. So I'm just going to use some glue. And the insides of the tag, I actually did 2 tags. You can see the other one near my ATG gun, because I wasn't sure if I was going to use a small one or not. And so I put some glossy accents on top of just the circles for inside those, thinking that maybe I would use it. And so I ended up moving that one arrow chevron down to the bottom, and then I will put the other one in later. And that card right there is like a rip apart sheet that came in the kit, and it just has like a little spot for journaling or like a date or something, and then it has a little saying, and the saying was in like a pink color, but I put it so that you couldn't really see it, because not because I didn't want you to see it, but any other place that I tried to put it on the layout, I didn't like it, and you could only see like the OVE. It was like love ya, and I didn't want it to be like of ya, you know, like I don't mind if you can see partial words, but when there's a word that you're missing like the first 2 letters or the first letter, that kind of bugs me. So I just covered, you know, the words up. And so I'm putting those Heidi Swapp pieces in, and I kind of stuck them like on opposite sides, and I wasn't meaning to do that. If anything of this layout, that's the one place that I don't care that it ended up being. But I think in the end, I'm just going to let it sit and then come back and look at it in a couple of days and see if I don't mind it. And if, you know, if it still bugs me that it's not even, I'll move that flower or something. I don't know. I probably won't move it because I generally don't. But sometimes I feel that if you let it sit and you wait a few days, that when you go back and look at it with fresh eyes, it doesn't bother you as much. Sometimes it does, and then that means that you can change it, you know. And I think sometimes that we need to do that. Sometimes we need to step back before we make a decision. So I'm going to put some of the black pieces on because I do have some black like peeking out in the layers. So I really liked that. And then I'm looking for something to go underneath the transparency, because I'm thinking at this point, I think that I'm going to put down a flare. I think that this is around the time that I think about doing that. Yeah, here it is. It's like, I thought this is where I put the flare in, because I also got the flare from the Valentine's themed kit. So it's like a heart, or like a heart with a heart inside, and it's pink, so it matches. So I'm going to add that, and that kind of ends up in that same area, but I wanted like something else there to kind of break up some space underneath in the transparency. So it's just a gray label from their print and cuts. So with Scraptastic, they have printables that you can print out at home on your computer. So they'll give you a PDF that has like tags and like journaling little thingies, and then they'll give you one that has just random different stuff, like a phrase, or you know, like different shapes and stuff. And then so I printed that off at my house, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Boy, I can't talk good tonight. And it's not even that late. I mean, it's like 9 o'clock. No, it's 10 o'clock. Can't see either. I had to take my glasses off. So I am putting some sequins. This is the only thing that I added besides the paint that wasn't from the kit. So I was really trying to just use the kit, and I think I'm going to try to challenge myself this month and probably next month in using my kit and trying to get like 4 or 5 layouts with just my kit. Because I've been finding, especially, you know, since Christmas, that I will mix it up like almost right away with my other stuff because I want to use my other stuff, and I'm not because I'm doing that, I'm not really using my kits that much. And so it's like I really want to get the best use out of my kits. Otherwise, I mean, you know, we spend money on stuff, and it's fun to get a kit. So I put that title, I know you didn't see me, I put that title in wonky just because I thought it looked cute. So there's no reasoning behind it. It wasn't like, oh, I accidentally put it wonky a little bit, but and it just says say cheese because she's smiling so cute. And so I use Heidi Swapp Black Velvet, and then in a minute you're going to see all the close-ups. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing something fun and maybe a little bit different. So I will talk to you guys later, and I hope you guys have an inspired week. Bye, guys.